Hey, Wednesday, 21st of January 2026. So, Adrian's daily vlog sharing smart stuff men should know. The gunpowder moment. You can't afford to be left behind. You can't afford to be left behind as the world marches on with technology and advancements and ideas and concepts. We need to be a little bit out of the mainstream as a standard deviation or so, and at the zeitgeist with regards to new ideas and technologies, because we can't afford to risk being left behind in terms of meritocracy and or losing your edge or advantage. That's important, losing the edge or advantage. We can't afford to be left behind because the further behind you are as the world marches on, the more expensive it is and the faster it has to be in order to catch up. This is the epistemic lag I talked about in a previous video in the past, back in June of last year. So every now and then in life, in the world and in mankind, there will be new technologies that emerge that will create these gunpowder moments where it's a flip, it's a switch, like a binary switch from one thing to another. Swords and guns is a good example to be down to earth and to follow the analogy of the title. And then we could say it's down to us individually to recognize these gunpowder technologies, let's say, and adapt them because it gives us a 10x advantage, and in the long term, an advantage as well over that advantage becomes distinctly clear over the long term as well as we march into the future. Because as the technologies push forward onwards and upwards, to catch up, it's going to get harder and harder and more expensive. And that's critical. We don't want that. Business models that are popular and common and sustainable today, that are doable today, may not be viable, appropriate, applicable, modern in 15 or 30 years from now. There'll be new technologies, other mini gunpowders in different industries and sectors that are yet to be developed or come into the mainstream, that will be over the next 7 years, for example, and then over the next preceding 23 years will change the world in some fashion. Wow. So it means that the world today, just like swords and gunpowder, is on its way out. We just don't know how or when or why or the details, things like that. Future historians will decide. Historians in the 21 and 2200s, in 100 years from now, they'll be deciding and debating and saying, aye, on the 7th, it was then in June 2027. No, it was there in March of 2032. That was the turning point. Or no, maybe it was in November 2022 when that was released, that technology. Or even no, January 2009, things like that. It'll leave for future historians to decide and debate. But we have to be conscious, and of course hindsight is 50-50 and all that, or 20-20 and all that. But we have to be conscious and aware and at the cutting edge, the zeitgeist, the ideas, and what's happening, so as to reduce the chances of being left behind, and maximize the chances of recognizing and catching that gunpowder moment, so as to catch it as soon as possible, so as to benefit from it as much as possible, it moving into the future. Very important. Beyond important is survival, is prime survival. But otherwise, Adrian's daily vlog, sharing smart stuff men should know. Subscribe for more, and you will see me tomorrow.